Her fiancé betrayed her with her best friend. Then the Mafia king made her his queen, and her revenge began. Serena had always been the kind of woman who gave everything, not because she had to, but because that's just who she was. She loved with her whole heart. She trusted people completely, and for a long time, she believed that if you were good to people, they would be good back. She was 27 years old, living in Milan, working as an event planner. She wasn't rich, but she had built a life she was proud of. A small apartment with plants on the windowsill. A job she was genuinely good at, a man she was going to marry in 3 weeks, and a best friend who had been by her side for 12 years. His name was Lorenzo. He was tall, well-dressed, and knew exactly how to make a woman feel like the most important person in the room, when it suited him. He had proposed to Serena on a rooftop last summer. Candles, roses, a diamond ring. She had cried. She had said yes immediately. She called her mother before she even got back inside. Nadia was her best friend. They had met in university, lived together for 2 years after graduation, and stayed close ever since. Nadia was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made people stop talking. Beautiful, loud, funny. Serena never thought anything of it. That's what you do with the people you love. You trust them without thinking twice. The night everything fell apart, Serena had been at a client event downtown. It was supposed to go until midnight, but the client canceled early. She was tired, a little hungry, and honestly, just wanted to come home and sleep. She didn't call ahead. She didn't think she needed to. She heard music when she opened the front door. Soft music, the kind you put on when you want the evening to feel nice. She thought maybe Lorenzo had come home early and was waiting for her. She almost smiled. Then she heard Nadia's laugh. That specific laugh, the one she had heard 1,000 times at birthday parties and late-night dinners and celebrations. She walked to the bedroom door and opened it. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She just stood there for a moment and looked at the 2 people she had trusted most in the world. Lorenzo's face went from shock to something worse, mild irritation, like she had interrupted something, like she was the one who had done something wrong. Serena picked up her keys from the side table. She picked up her coat from the chair by the door, and she walked out. She sat in her car in the parking garage for a long time. She didn't cry right away. Her brain was doing that thing where it tries to protect you by making everything feel like it's not real. She kept thinking about small, strange things. The plants on the windowsill, whether she had paid the last electricity bill, what she was going to tell the wedding venue. Then the feeling hit her, all at once, like a wave, and she let herself fall apart, alone, in the dark, in a quiet parking garage, with no one watching. She cried until she couldn't breathe. Then she wiped her face, sat up straight, and started making a list in her head. Cancel the venue, return the dress, call her mother, leave. The next morning, Lorenzo sent her a text. It wasn't an apology. It was an explanation. Long, careful, full of phrases like, "These things are complicated," and, "I didn't want to hurt you." She read the whole thing, then she deleted it. Nadia sent nothing at all. Serena booked a one-way flight to New York that same afternoon. 8 months earlier, she had turned down a job offer from a luxury events company based in Manhattan. She emailed them now and asked if the position was still open. It was. She packed 2 suitcases, said goodbye to her mother over the phone, and left Milan within 48 hours. She didn't look back. Not once. New York was loud and overwhelming, and exactly what she needed. There was too much happening around her to get lost inside her own head. She moved into a small apartment in Brooklyn, started her new job, and threw herself into the work. She was good at it. She had always been good at it. And being good at something, really good, has a way of making you feel like yourself again when everything else has fallen apart. She didn't date. She didn't really socialize outside of work. She kept things simple. She was healing, even if she didn't call it that. She just called it living. 6 months passed. Then her company gave her a new assignment. A private gala. Anonymous client. Very high budget. Very strict security. The kind of event where you don't ask too many questions. You just make sure everything is perfect. The venue was a restored estate in Manhattan, and the guest list was the kind that made her assistant nervous. Serena focused on the details. The lighting, the placement, the timing. She was good under pressure. That was one thing the last year had taught her. She was stronger than she thought. She didn't notice the man watching her until midway through the evening. He was standing near the far end of the room, dressed in a dark suit, completely still, in a space full of moving people. There was something about the way he stood, like the room belonged to him, and he simply hadn't decided what to do with it yet. Her assistant's voice came through her earpiece, quiet, slightly tense. "That's Dante Conti. Don't make eye contact." Serena filed the name away and kept working. He approached her 20 minutes later, not to flirt, not to make small talk. He had a problem. The floral installation near the east wall was blocking a sight line his security team needed clear. He told her this directly, without apology, without softening it. She didn't flinch. She didn't apologize either. She just said, "Give me 4 minutes," and fixed it. He watched her the entire time, and when she was done, he said, "Good." That was all. Then he walked away. 2 weeks later, her company received a request. The same client, Dante Conti, wanted her specifically for a private dinner at his residence. Her boss practically glowed when she told her. Serena said she needed to think about it. She did her research that night. She found out who he was. Not everything. Some things about people like Dante Conti don't make it into the news. But enough. He ran businesses. He had a foundation that funded education programs in low-income communities, though it wasn't publicly attached to his name. He was powerful in ways that weren't easy to explain. She accepted the job. She told herself it was just work. His residence was large and quiet, in a way that expensive places often are. She noticed small things, the way people moved around him, always aware of where he was, the way no one spoke unless spoken to. She wasn't afraid. She was paying attention. After the dinner, when the guests had gone and her team was packing up, he came and stood near her. He asked if she wanted to stay for a drink. She said no. He asked again. Not pushy. More like, genuinely curious about what she would say. She stayed. They talked for almost 2 hours. About cities. About what it feels like to build something from nothing. About why some people run away from their old lives, and whether that's cowardice or wisdom. She didn't tell him about Lorenzo. He didn't tell her the full truth about his work. They were two careful people having an honest conversation, which is rarer than it sounds. She started seeing him regularly after that. Not dates exactly, or maybe they were, but neither of them said so. He was different from what she expected. Quieter, more patient. He listened in a way that made her feel like her words had weight. One evening, Lorenzo showed up outside her apartment building in Brooklyn. She still doesn't know how he got the address. She found out later that Nadia had been asking around, talking to mutual friends, trying to track where Serena had gone. And Lorenzo, apparently, had decided that enough time had passed that she should be willing to talk. He was standing on the pavement when she came outside. He said he missed her. He said he had made a mistake. He said things that might have meant something to her a year ago. She felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a strange, clean quiet. Like standing in a room after all the furniture has been removed. She told him to leave. He didn't move immediately. He started to speak again. Then a black car pulled up slowly to the curb. One of Dante's people stepped out and stood nearby without saying a word, without even looking at Lorenzo directly. Just present, just there. Lorenzo left. Later that night, she called Dante and asked him directly. He didn't pretend he hadn't been watching. He said, "You are safe whether you want my help or not, but I would prefer you let me offer it." She was irritated. She was also, for the first time in a long time, not scared of anything. She told him about Lorenzo that night, about Nadia, about the night she came home, and what she found. She told him the whole thing without softening it, and he listened without interrupting, without offering advice, without trying to fix it. He just listened. She realized afterward that no one had ever done that for her before. Just listened, without an agenda. Things moved slowly after that, and then quickly, the way rivers do when they approach a waterfall. He left a book on her desk one morning, a novel she had mentioned once, briefly, in passing. She didn't remember him even being in the conversation when she said it. There was no note. She understood anyway. He made dinner reservations in her name at a restaurant she had pointed to through a taxi window 3 weeks earlier, saying she had always wanted to try it. She had forgotten she said it. He hadn't. On a night when it rained suddenly, and her jacket was at the office, a car was waiting for her outside the building. She hadn't called anyone. She stopped telling herself she could walk away whenever she wanted. She had already stopped wanting to. One evening over dinner, he slid a ring across the table to her. It was dark, almost black, and unlike anything she had ever seen. He didn't get down on one knee. He didn't make a speech. He looked at her and said, "I'm not asking you to love everything about my world. I'm just asking you to let me stand in yours. The rest we figure out together." She looked at the ring for a long time. Then she said yes. Word traveled fast. Serena Moretti was going to be Dante Conti's wife. People in his world took notice. She was introduced to people, briefed on things, handed a role she hadn't asked for but found herself growing into. She wasn't the same woman she had been in Milan. That woman had been soft in all the wrong places. Not because softness is bad, but because she had been giving it to people who didn't deserve it. Now she knew the difference. A few months later, she found out that Lorenzo's company had lost a major contract. She found out through Dante, who told her simply and without drama. She asked a few questions. She understood what had happened without needing it spelled out. She didn't feel guilty. She didn't feel joy either. She just felt even, like a scale returning to level. She went back to Milan once, for a work event her company was co-hosting. She wore a dress she never would have worn before, not revealing, just confident, the kind of clothing that says, "I am not hiding from anything." She arrived with people around her, and the photographs from that evening spread quickly through the circles where she and Lorenzo and Nadia had all once moved together. Nadia found her at the event. She walked up with an expression that was trying to be apologetic, and landing somewhere closer to self-pitying. She said things about not being able to control feelings. She said that she and Lorenzo had something real. She said she hoped Serena could understand someday. Serena let her finish. Then she said quietly, "I don't hate you, Nadia. I used to think I would, but I don't. I just know now who you are." She walked away calmly and spent the rest of the evening doing her job beautifully, speaking to people who respected her, laughing genuinely, and never once looking over her shoulder. She flew back to New York the next morning. She stood at the window of their apartment the evening she returned, looking at the city below. Dante came in, put his hands on her shoulders, and didn't say anything. He didn't need to. They just stood there together, the two of them, in a quiet that felt like something earned. This is what people don't tell you about betrayal. It doesn't just take something from you. If you survive it, if you really come through the other side, it shows you something about yourself you would never have found any other way. It shows you how strong you actually are. It shows you who actually deserves to be in your life. And sometimes, if you are very lucky and very brave, it walks you straight into the life you were supposed to have all along. Serena didn't get revenge in the way people talk about in movies. There was no dramatic confrontation. There was no moment where she stood over someone and watched them fall. What she got was better than that. She got herself back, and this time, she was never going to give that away to anyone who hadn't earned it.